So a pretty important thing about me that I think should be known is that I work for Disney. I am going to be a parade performer in the upcoming Christmas Fantasy Parade. I am super duper excited about that. I don't really want to disclose like what character or what role I'll be. I mean, I know which one I'll be. I don't want to accidentally tell you something I'm not allowed to. So I'm just gonna kind of keep most of that stuff under wraps. But what I am going to tell you is the story of how it came to be. I do live in Henderson, Nevada, but currently I am living in Chino Hills for the time that I will be doing the parade. It's gonna be about 4.5 months. And as soon as that is done, I'm gonna go on back over to Henderson. So how it all started was I was living there, and my mom, who is actually a former Disney parade performer herself, she said, hey, I see there's an audition that's coming up in, a couple days. I thought you might want to go to it. I said, you know what, sure, just thinking like, come on, it's Disney, it's huge. I mean, I'm probably not gonna get in, but I mean, it couldn't hurt to just go to the audition just for the experience, because I had just gotten out of high school, so it was a good way to just kind of get some knowledge for what auditions for things are gonna be like outside of high school. So I just said, okay, let's do it. I went to the audition. During the audition, I was actually in the middle of the rehearsal process for a community theater show that I was in, Peter Pan, A Musical Adventure, and I had rehearsal that night. The rehearsal was about an hour away from my house in Henderson, Nevada, and the audition was, of course, backstage in the rehearsal hall at Disneyland in California. So that caused a bit of a problem. I believe the audition was, I want to say like 9 in the morning. I'm there in the morning, and I go in, and they teach us a dance combination. After learning it and doing it as a group, we get split up into groups of 5, and they take every group of 5 and they record them on video as each group goes, and then once all the groups have gone, they send us into another big studio, which they kind of used as a waiting room. And while we were waiting, we didn't know what we were waiting for, but apparently we were waiting for them to watch every single video and take their time and evaluate each person in each video. And you guys don't know how many people there were, but there were 63, I believe. 63. We were all split up into groups of 5, and the dance combination was about, I want to say like a minute. And they had each group go twice, and because they could switch rows every time they went. So that took a long time just for the groups to go. And then that whole process had to be restarted after we had all gone, because they were watching all the videos from each group. And then after we get put into the waiting room, hours go by, and it's getting closer to the time that I have to leave in order to make my rehearsal, which is in another state. So I'm getting really, really worried. I'm worried about so much. I'm worried, like, did I do good? Did I do bad? There's so many things rushing through my head, and right now I'm just thinking, okay, don't look at the clock. You're gonna make it to rehearsal. Everything's gonna be fine. So I just keep practicing the dance combo. I ended up finding the track on YouTube, and one time when I go back to replay it, I can't help but look at the clock. The rehearsal started at 7, and the clock said like 4:30, and I would have had to leave at 4. And I'm like, shoot, I'm not gonna make it for this rehearsal. So I call my directors. I'm like, hey, I just said something came up, because I didn't want to say like, hey, I'm kind of ditching your rehearsal to audition for another thing, because that would have been kind of not great. So I ended up being late for that rehearsal, quite late. I ended up staying at the audition until 6:30 or 7. After they were finished evaluating, they came into the room and called the names of 16 people. I was one of the 16 people that they called, and then they pulled us into this smaller room. As soon as they put us in that room, they walk out. And we were just kind of standing, like we couldn't move. We were all so nervous. We were all just kind of silent. And then after about like 10 minutes, one of the casting directors walks back into the parade, and I don't know if this was like him trying to fool us or something, but he had sort of like a sad look on his face. And he looks at us and he's like, so, gentlemen, if you're willing, I'd like to ask you all to be in our upcoming Christmas Fantasy Parade. We thought he was joking for a second because of how nonchalantly and casually he said it, so we just kind of didn't say anything yet. So we just decided like, okay, is he like serious? He was like kind of like, what are you doing? Then he started clapping, and we were like, oh my gosh, this is real, this is so cool. and that very day we got handed our schedule. And I was lucky enough to get weekends off. I was one of the luckiest people in there, because some people like got Thursday through like Monday, including Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and their days off were really like weird and stuff, but I got the perfect schedule. So I was really happy about that. We got assigned our roles as well, and then we got scheduled for our, they call it their onboarding, orientation, and what that was is just to kind of make sure we have all our information correct. That was just where they confirmed it, and then throughout the next couple of weeks I went to orientations, and there's a lot of sitting down and watching PowerPoints and just kind of sitting in the office and grabbing coffee and talking to my coworkers. So I felt very official, especially because I was like dressed in business casual and I was feeling all fancy. I felt successful, and I still do feel very successful. It's a great thing to be doing. It's a great thing to go on my resume, especially when I'm fresh out of high school. So I'm living right now, and I can't wait to go to my first rehearsal and do my first parade. If you want to come see it, head on over to Disneyland in California. See the Christmas Fantasy Parade. It's going to be absolutely magical. But yeah, that is the story of how I came to be a Disney parade performer. So thank you so much for watching and learning a little bit more about me. I don't know how to end videos yet. Bye.